East Texans will have their say on more than a dozen state constitutional amendments this November. East Texas News Weekend's Michael Richardson reports that the proposals include changes to bail and property taxes.
There will be 17 constitutional amendments on Texans' ballots this November. Among them, changes to property taxes. Here's Latorno's Dr. John Barrett.
Some of the amendments there increase the homestead exemptions that you get. There's a general increase for everybody, and then there's an additional increase for seniors. And so those, of course, will be crowd pleasers.
Another measure would allow judges to deny bail to people accused of certain crimes, including sexual or violent offenses.
What's kind of unusual about this is it's focusing at the other end of the spectrum, which is, well, are there people that are released on bail that shouldn't be released on bail because they're a threat?
Barrett says some of the amendments will not lead to significant changes if they are passed.
There's a measure to state that non-citizens can't vote. Well, non-citizens already can't vote.
Voters will also decide whether to allocate funds for dementia research and if they want to put more money into the Texas Water Fund. Election Day is November 4th. Michael Richardson, East Texas News Weekend.
You can find a link to all of the amendments by scanning the QR code on your screen, or you can head on over to our websites and just click on the big red box and you'll find a link in there.